Welcome back to Pennies in Your Path, my friends. I'm Jodi Aiken, your host, where I hope and pray to encourage you to move your doubts in God to fully trusting Him. And I want to start off by saying Happy New Year. Can you believe it is already 2022? Wow, I still struggle writing that on the paper. But it's as I'm thinking about it, it's reminded me to start the year off being thankful and appreciate the moments in life and make the best out of it. I was thinking about the last episode that I gave to you. If you happen to watch it or see it, I was mentioning about how much I love warmth in the cold season. And I kind of daydreamed a little bit about sitting at the beach with my toes in the sand, letting the sun warm my face and my body. When I was recording that for you, I was not thinking that weeks later I would actually be at the beach. We traveled from North Carolina to Panama City Beach, Florida for Christmas in order to be with our family. And I will tell you, I thought about you guys when I was there, and I thought if anybody is in that cold, wintry snow mix right now, I was absorbing that warmth for you and thinking about you. I know I'm rubbing it in, right? But it was fun. Like the second day I was there, I actually did spot dolphins. Actually, it was 2 days, spotted some dolphins, and I have witnesses. So I know I wasn't fooled by that. So it was just special time with the family. Just treasured so many things that we did and conversations that we had, but I also treasured some time that I had with God as I was thinking about 2022 and some things that I already know that He has given me assignments to accomplish throughout the year. I'm started off the first quarter already just feeling a bit overwhelmed. I sense just being stretched by God, and so much so, I can already see at the end of the year the stretch marks. I probably didn't need to say that, but that's just where my mind went, because it's evidence of you being stretched beyond what feels like your capacity. But, it made me think also of so many times that I've struggled over the years, really trusting God throughout the things that He has called me to do, and just walking in that life with Him. For instance, I was mindful of, it was actually July 25th, 2016. Yeah, July 25th, 2016. I had just finished writing in my journal 16 pages of just talking to God. And when I was done, I went for a walk in my neighborhood, just praying and talking to the Lord about what He was doing in my life. That year, He actually prompted me to go to She Speaks conference that's put on by Proverbs 31 Ministries to better equip myself as a speaker, because I really wanted to learn a little bit more and to just try to improve, which I am still doing. I guess it will always be a lifelong journey. But anyway, when I came back from that conference, I felt the opposite of what I think many might have felt, of encouraged, inspired, ready to go and get it. Instead, I struggled believing God for what He was calling me to do. And the reality is I realized that the enemy knew what God was calling me to do from that evidence of my obedience in Him, and therefore was trying to rob me with lies that I was tempted and I hate to admit I was beginning to believe. And my effort of wanting to stay true to what God has said, I began journaling and redeeming and restoring what the enemy was stealing from me. And that was confidence. Again, it was confidence in myself, and it was confidence in God. So when I went on that walk and talking with him, as I went around one of the curves, the corners there, I saw a penny lying in the road. What really got my attention, because it was actually at a distance, the sun was like beaming on this particular penny like a beam of light. So immediately as I'm walking and talking to the Lord, my eye went straight there. And this conversation I began having with God, it was like he's like, I hear you, I see you, I know you, your commitment to me, and I know what you just worked through. And I sensed him saying, I know you trust me, but it's also going to take faith, Jodi. And so as I thought about that day, and I know the time, that really even the time of day it was, but more specifically the day of the year and what month it was, because he spoke so directly to my heart and my soul. But as I thought about that, I started thinking about a little bit of the difference of trust and faith. And in a sense, there's no difference, but yet there is difference. At least that's what I have found. And I just want to share a little bit about that and kind of challenge us to think about it together as well. Thinking about trust, like trust is having the confidence in God. And when we have confidence in someone, would you say that we trust that person? I would. I have confidence in God and therefore trust him. See, I've built this confidence through life experiences. He's been faithful never to leave me, for example. He's been faithful to answer my prayers. He's been faithful to deliver me from difficulties. He has grown me in to accomplish the task and the assignments he's prepared for me. And therefore, I trust him. I have confidence in God. But let's think about faith for just a moment. The writer of Hebrews describes faith as follows. And I'm going to use a couple different translations because I think it really helps us get more of a narrowed scope. What am I trying to say right here? I could edit this out, but I'm not. Anyway, I digress. Let me just read what the writer of Hebrews actually says, and it's from Hebrews 11:1. Shocker, right? But out of the ESV, it's now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Now hear it out of the Phillips translation. Now faith means putting our full confidence in the things we hope for. It means being certain of things we cannot see. And then the NIV translation. Now, faith is confidence. You hear that? Faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. And then the NLT translation. Faith shows the reality of what we hope for. It is the evidence of things we cannot see. See, there's that difference, and then there's the connection. So faith is putting action to what we confidently trust God in what is yet to come. So we don't exercise our faith blindly, but faith that's been built on past evidence and our confidence with God. We know he came through in the past, so therefore we can trust that he's going to come through in the future. Therefore, we can have faith God will work out everything about which we typically worry. And that's what I began doing. I began worrying a little bit about what, like, God, are you sure did I say yes to all the right things? Or am I saying yes to just good things and not the best things? And I started worrying. I started thinking about, oh my goodness, what have I done? And then I realized that I know what I've said yes to. I was saying yes to God about. I wasn't saying yes necessarily to people. And that I can have confidence. I can trust him, and I can have, because I trust him, I have faith that what I can't see right now, the outcome of that, I have faith that he does and he'll bring it to fruition. But what about you? Do you sense that God is stretching you lately? Is God prompting you to maybe a new level, if you will? I call it level, but I'm not sure what else to call it right now. But levels of faith, to that, like you're really being stretched. Like, oh, I've been able to have faith and trust and believe you for this to this extent. But what you're calling me to, God, I don't know. That's just beyond anything I've ever done before. That kind of level, if you will. But what I want to encourage us both to do is, as we cultivate our faith and seek God for what He's calling us to do step by step, let's seek wisdom from Him. But as we do, let's be careful to seek wisdom without doubting that you're not fit for what He's calling you to carry out. Doubting that that you're not ready for that next step of growth. Doubting that you can succeed. Or doubting that God, and this is the real point here, that God can do in you, through you all He is planning for you. When we start looking at ourselves, it's easy to doubt, but we've also got to be careful that our doubt in ourselves doesn't transfer and carry over to our doubt in God and what He's capable of doing. James reminds us that in James 1:5-8, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given him. But let him ask in faith, ask in faith with no doubting. For the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea. I love that illustration, obviously. The wave of the sea that is driven and tossed by the wind. For that person must not suppose that he will receive anything from the Lord. He is a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways. Boy, I feel very unstable when I doubt God, when I doubt myself. And that's just no fun. And as I'm thinking about all this, and obviously I can't hear what you're saying right now, but I imagine you going, I hear you, Jodi. I'm with you, but man, you might be saying, I believe, but help my unbelief, God. Or maybe that's just the voice in my own head. I don't know. Nonetheless, don't you want to be all in with God, allowing Him to use you in ways you've never thought possible? Are you craving to see what His plans are in the end? If so, then, my friend, it's going to take an extra measure of faith. Trust in Him, having faith in Him for the unknown. You may think right now that you don't have the faith that it's going to take, the confidence in that. But I really believe that if you're seeking God and you want in your life what He wants in your life, He's not brought you and me this far to let us down. If we just stay the course and glorify Him, let that be our heart motive. To glorify Him in and through everything that He's calling you and I to do. I believe that God is going to be honored by that. He delights in our ways as we yield to the steps He has established before us. See, it's about what He has done. It's about what God is able to do and what God is calling us to do, about being obedient to Him. And then in that obedience, He in turn does a deeper work in us and brings about that and strengthens, if you will, our faith as we walk toward Him in the direction that He's calling us with those things. I want to wrap up with a quote from Corrie ten Boom. I love so many of her quotes. I found this one about faith, and I thought it was really cool. I'm going to read it twice here. Faith is like a radar that sees through the fog, the reality of things at a distance that the human eye cannot see. And think about that. What is a radar? It's like this laser beam that can see through the fog that we can't see. So let me read it again. Faith is like a radar that sees through the fog the reality of things at a distance that the human eye cannot see. Let's trust God with unwavering faith in Him to carry out in us what He sees ahead. So that's one of the biggest challenges. So I want to know, are you all in? After listening to this, are you encouraged to go, you know what? I don't know what all this looks like. I don't even know how it's possible God's going to make all this happen. But I'm all in with you, God. Whatever you're leading, whatever you're saying, yes. So if you're all in, I'd love to know in the comments below. You can share what it is that He's calling you to, or you can just say, yes, I'm all in, Jodi. I'm all in with you. I'm all in with God and what He's calling, and we can take this journey together. So I'd love to know that you're all in. You're all in with God. Leave a yes below. But also, after processing all of this and thinking about, typically at the beginning of every year, many people, I don't even know of a lot, but many people actually come up with a word that they can cling to for the rest of the year. So when maybe they need to be inspired or encouraged, reminded, or just prompted to stay the course, there's a word that might help empower you to continue to stay the course. So I wonder if you can guess what mine is. I bet you just said trust. But actually, it's going to be faith, because God says, I know you trust me, but it's also going to take faith. So my word for this year is faith, because I know He can do more than I can imagine. So what is your word? Do you do this? Do you have a word? Or do you want some guidance to know really how to come up with that? Those were kind of just some questions I was thinking about when I was thinking about you guys and wanted to wrap this up. I actually looked up something that I want to share with you, and I'm going to leave it in the show notes. I thought it was really cool. Daysprings actually has a little quiz. It's just a 7-question quiz, and I love that the simple questions and how they relate to scripture as well. But you go through it, and then at the end it'll suggest a word for your year, and it also has an image that you can pull up. But again, go to daysprings.com. It's Find Your 2022 Word of the Year, I think is what it's titled. But again, I'll leave the link below. I thought, well, I already know my word, but let me just play with it and see what that looks like. And I thought, man, that's really cool. For me, it came up with the word fulfilled. But at the top, it had something about faith. And I thought, oh my goodness, that is ultimately what I want by the end of 2022. I want my faith to be fulfilled, and knowing that I have given it all to God, and that I yielded and anticipated for Him to do the things that I knew that I wasn't capable of doing. Because at the end of the year, I want Him to be so glorified with my life. That when people hear me, see me, read what I write or anything that I do, my whole heart motive, I really don't want people to see me. I don't want people necessarily to remember my name. I want people to see Christ, and I want people to remember His name for His glory, because my mission really is about taking you and others to the cross and introducing you to Jesus Christ, and then also in your struggles reminding you that He is still the place that you go for your strength and your hope and comfort and healing. So But that's what I've got for us for the month of January. I'm still hanging in there on doing these. And I'm going to probably always have my podcast. But as far as YouTube, we'll see how many more months I might hang in there and do this. I'm getting maybe a little bit more comfortable. Not sure about that. But anyway, friends, I will keep rambling. But before we go, please take a moment to comment below. And I would love for you to subscribe to, if you're listening on the podcast, subscribe there, or if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe right now here. That way you'll be notified when I'm doing these and when they're published on that. Also, if, again, I have mentioned this most of the time, I have written some of this episode in a blog format, and you can find that at jodiaiken.com on my blog. I'll leave a link for that as well. So thanks for hanging in there with me. I love you so much. I'm praying for you guys, and I really want to hear from you to let me know that you're there and that you're listening and reading and getting something out of this. That would really encourage me. All right. Talk to you later.